Hi everyone. So this week we are starting chapter number 7, and our chapter project is about it's a little complicated than complex than the previous ones, but our chapter project concentrates on some experience. I mean, you have multiple choices, multiple sub choices, things like that. So basically the story is like that: an international company requested a Windows application that provides pricing information for scuba diving expeditions. The expeditions that are offered by the company are in three locations. See here in this picture, there are three locations: Australia, Belize, and Fiji. So each location offers different packages because of the different natural varieties there, and they have different length, and this is the cost per person. So what is the goal is to create a splash screen first that will give you the basic application versioning, all those things, and as a step number 2, once the application is initiated, you will see the splash screen, and then you will go you will find the actual form which will look like it. So you will have a like a combo box followed by these fields like how many people are there in the team. Then I mean there has to be some has to have some scuba certification, paddy certification. So then you have the package selected, and then you calculate the cost. So that's pretty much our application is. So let's go and start our coding. So let's create a new project, and let's choose the Windows Form application using Visual Basic. Call it scuba diving experience. Oh, sorry, I made some mess here. So let's create again this one: scuba diving experience. Sorry, scuba diving experience. So then create. So you create this form. Let's just make it a run, create a run of it. See, I mean, it's okay. So we have this is working in the first place. So let's do the usual stuff like select the form, and then go to the properties, this form objects properties. So here we can change the name to scuba diving experience, and we can name the form in certain way. Let's So as a next step, let's add um, so once we create the Windows project and call it scuba diving experience, and then we can add a new item to the project. So you go and select the project, then go to the project from the menu bar, and then add a new item and select splash screen, so this one, and add it. So this is the general look and feel of the splash screen. So from here, go to scuba diving experience, the project name, right click and go to the properties. So here under the properties, go to splash screen. uh, so select the splash screen on the application tab here. Then you need to add text to the splash screen itself. So you have the assembly information, so you can set the name to be scuba diving experience. So you can give a short description, application to or you can say cost estimator of scuba diving packages. I mean, it's arbitrary company, you don't need to give any company, or you can give any name, arbitrary name. Everything else should be the same. So let's set OK, and so that's it. So you need to change the background image as well from here to whatever is asked by the application. So let's go to the properties, here background image. So here import, and then we can go to uh, the location where we have the project actually. So it should be here. So I will give that to you, but here it is. So we can say OK. So that is it. And then application title needs to be changed. It should be um, scuba diving experience, and that's it. Let's run it. You will see whenever you run, you will see that splash screen comes up first, and then you have the form. Now this splash screen needs to be visible for certain amount of time. How do you facilitate that? So in order to facilitate that, you need to go to the form and then double click on the form, and this form loader, you have to put threading.thread.sleep and put some milliseconds out there. Now if you do that, this splash screen will stay for some time, and then we will get back the actual form. Okay, so now let's divide the screen into two parts. First of all, let's change the names, the form name. Basically we already changed the text, but we have to change the name of the form to, so let's go there, and the form name needs to be FRM scuba, let us say. So now we need to probably correct the error. So we should say here FRM scuba. We should be good now. Okay, so it's working. And then we need to also rename the form to the same name, FRM scuba. So that's about it. Now we need to go back to the form design. Let's clean up the, so here scuba diving experience. So let's change the font first. Here make it Arial and bold, and then 12, and let's make the back color to be white. Okay, now let's set the size to a reasonable one, that is 870 by 490, let us say. So if we do that, let's verify if it works correctly. Yeah, it comes out like this, so this is good. Okay, reasonable enough. Little bit more, a little bit more. Okay, that's good. Slightly more wider. Okay, okay, so that is it. Now let us create the image on the left hand side. So let's put the picture box here. Let's put the image there. Okay, and then we need to do the size mode to be stretch image. So that's about it. Anyways, let's add a uh, panel object. Now we have to add a panel object from the container category. So we need to get a panel object. So a panel and put it here, and let's do it in this way. So this is our panel object, and then it contains category. I mean, panel object is from the toolbox, and then change the panel object back color to be transparent. So make it transparent. So that is it. Let's try it first. So it's running, and see what we get after it runs. So something like this, not bad. Let's do that. So then as the next step, we need to add a label and a combo box object. So let's add a label to the right hand side. So where is the label? This is the label. So here let's add the label as call it the text is oceanic scuba expeditions. Change the font as we did for other applications. So yeah, font is already changed, so that's the one we have. Then we need to import a combo box object. So where is the combo box? Here is the combo box. let's bring it here and put it here, right here, and this is it. Now this combo box will be the location combo box, so it will facilitate a drop down drop box that has different locations. So let's make it location combo box. Okay, so once we do that, let's populate it with the texts. So you have, there should be some default text out here. So here let's put like select location. So once you do that, it should look like this, and then you can have what are the choices for the drop down. So for that, actually you select again this one, and then you can see the items collection, and under the collection you can write Australia. Then the second choice is Belize, and then Fiji. Okay, so let's select that and then run it now. Let's see how it works. So we get that, and then you can see you can have three different options. Now we haven't yet created any other activities. Okay, so once we are done, let's go and add a label object here. So label is where is the label? Here is the label. So let's bring it here and put it here, call it number in type team. So change the font, that's okay. I mean, we can make it not bold, I mean like make it Arial and regular and make it 10, number in type team. And then we do need a here we need a text box. So here is a text box, sorry. So let's put it here inside the text box. This will contain the number of people, how many people will be there in a team. So name the text box as num people text box. So that's it. If we run it, it should look like this. So you have it here, you select something, number, let's say 8, so things like that. So that's fine, right? Then next step, what we should do, we should we need to select div label object. Add the select div label object. So drag a label object and so let's create a label, select div label. So we need to choose a label here, put it here, and then we can place it in proper place. So put it near the center and then write it like select div label, div select div, no, it should be label select div, and the text should be a little different. So we should select the text as select scuba dive, select scuba dive. Of course we need to alter the font a little bit, so we have to make it Arial. I mean, that's my choice, your choice may be different again. So this one, select scuba dive, put it here, and then we need to so that's the dive. I mean that's your uh, level. Now you need to get a list box. So where is list box? Here is my list box, so bring it here. So list box should look like this. So you can tell um, scuba dive list view. So that's the name of the object. So um, so we make make it like that, and then a little bit with the font. Where is the font? So make it again, make it Arial. Let's say regular and 12. That's fine. So that's about it. Let's save it and run it. At each level we should run it to check everything looks good. So I mean, if you look at this, so it looks like this. I mean, we are not trying to create a very fancy, we are just trying to be bare minimum. Okay, that's good. So now you need to create the dive cost button object below that. So you need to create two buttons. Button one should be dive cost. So where is the button? This is the button. So let's create the button one as the dive cost. Call it, sorry, we should go back to here, button, and then name is dive cost, and so change the font as well, make it Arial, and then regular, and make it 10. Okay, so that is dive cost, and change the back color to some different, so this one, back color to, let's say, let's make it blue, still blue, and the font color should be the fore color should be white. That will be very prominent. So you have the dive cost, so you should name it like dive cost button, and then we can drag another button to here, make it clear. So this is the clear button, clear button, and make it like here, call it clear, clear. That's it. and change the back color to be something same as the other one, like the dive cost button. Some blue, which one we have used? So let's see what we have used. Steel blue, so we should use the steel blue as well. No, not that. Sled, not the sled blue, the steel blue. This one. And the font color needs to be white. Okay, so that's it. And below, so now our next thing is we need to add level object for the dive trip and level object for the cost as well. So now enter the level objects. So let's replace, let's relocate these buttons, and then let's bring the level object, like the first one should be here. You can call it dive, and make the level what happened. So let's so the text should be dive. That's the dive name that will be displayed here. So make it Arial regular 10. So bring another level object. So here make it so this is the dive name, so make it little wide. Let's put it like that, but then we will change it. So we can say level dive, and then the font has to be adjusted. So let's make it Arial regular and then 10. Okay, so this one. Now let's take these cross signs off from here. Okay, we are good. Now this one, what happened? What did I do? So here make it invisible. By the visible property needs to be false by default. The visible property of this one also needs to be false by default. So we can make it like level dive title. So it's the title of the box level, and this is level dive. So make it invisible by default. So where is visible? Here it is false, and this one make false as well. Yeah, okay, we are done. So if we execute it, it should look like this. The form should look like, just a second, it's coming up. So you will see this, you won't see the lower levels. So the next level should be the you have to add another, drag another level. So where is the level object? Here, make it, so you need to make it dive, and then so the next level should be the cost. So set the title as cost. The font needs to be changed. It should be Arial, and then regular, and then 10, and make the cost, put a colon next to cost. So call it level cost. By default it is not visible. Okay, and then bring another level, drag another level, which is basically the cost. As usual, change the font. The visible, it should be by default false, and make it a little bit wider. So that's it. Now there will be another level called length, how long this dive would be. So let's bring another level and put it here. Call it length. Okay, and then the font should be Arial regular. 10-point size, and then we need to drag another level, like here, see here. So these many hours. So this one, make the adjustment to the font as well here. make the name changes, level hours, and then for this one too, the length. That's all, that we have already done it. So make it invisible by default, and let's get away with that. So that's about it. So our user interface design is done. Now let's test it a little bit. So our form looks like this. Now we have to work on the methods. As the first step, we need to make the, let's go to the form. Okay, so the form scuba, and then let's do the option strict on here in the beginning. Okay, so that's the first step. Then we need to declare certain class variables in order to define the different options, define the methods. So the class variables, we can define it under the class, so their scopes will be at the class level. And so we do that, the four, I mean there are four different levels of times, and then we have the dive 1, dive 2, dive 3. I mean there are different dives options. They should be located, they should be related um, to the locations. So now let's these are the form loading things. And when we load the form, what we should do, we should, I mean before we load the form itself, let's try to work on the other pieces. So let's go to the designer, form designer here, and then let's try to change it here. So location combo box, selected index changed. Here what we can do, the location choice, we can make it, we can define a new variable called location choice. So here the location choice as integer. Then we can do like this variable, let's get it from the event itself. So we call it um, combo box. So what is that? This should be, sorry, the location combo box, right? Location combo box, and then we can do um, selected index. Okay, and then we can do, now we can go to the dive list object. So here this will be populated. So we go back to the form. Where is the form? Here. So we are working on this piece. So let's say list, not that, I mean that should be a list box, dive list box, something like that. Scuba dive list view. Okay, so make it scuba dive list view items. and then we should clear everything first in the first place. So that's it, and then we should do select case int location choice. Okay, so then case 0 should be, now we define some methods. Australia, we are yet to define these functions. Australia team, so how do you define this function? So create a private sub called this one and make it scuba dive list view items add. Then you can add these items here. So that's our Australia team. Then we have case 1, and that should be the Belize team. So we have to define a similar function like Australia, Belize team, and then we have to define a private sub called Belize team, which should be look like this. So the only difference is this one needs to be replaced by actual list view, that we are using this one. And then finally also we need to do, sorry, case case 2, which is Fiji team, and the Fiji team needs to be defined as well, just like the above, in a separate private sub. So we can make it like this. Okay, so we define 3 different private subs. So this one is now populated, this should be now populated. Now so with that, if we now run the application, let's see what comes up. So we have this, let's say Australia. Then you can see that these things are coming up, but this is not yet very clean. I mean, you need to widen these ones. So let's work on those. So let's go back to the form design here. Let's make it wider, much wider. Okay, and this one, so the text, so if we have that one, so now if we run it, let's see how does it look like now. So we do have it here and then make it Australia, but still it's not good. Let's work on that. So I mean, this object needs to be replaced by, I mean, we use the list view, it should be list box. So once we make it list box, we should go to the code again, go back to the code, and this one, this needs to be div list box. So all the list views needs to be replaced by div list box. So let's do find and replace functioning. Here, so this one needs to be replaced with div list box. See, div list box. So this one, and then we can replace all. So everything should be fine now. So let's run it again. Now if we run it, now it should look better. So once we go here, select something, let's say Australia, we can see this all those things. Now the next item for us is to calculate the cost. Okay, now in the ideal case, this once we select something, these all the subsequent objects on the screen needs to be visible. So by default, these levels should be invisible. Let's call it level number div. Okay, so make the property, the visible property, to be false. This text box needs to be false as well. This level needs to be false, the visible to be false. The list box needs to be invisible as well. Then the button needs to be invisible. This button, clear button, needs to be invisible. Div should be invisible. I mean, everything else is invisible right now. So the state would be, I mean, if we run it right now, so in the, to begin with, we should not see anything. So our initial, this length is still visible. Let's make it invisible as well. So make it invisible. This one needs to be invisible too. So let's test it again. So once you run it, let's see what happens. So you get this application, and then once you select Australia, I mean, everything subsequent thing needs to be switched on, I mean visible. How do you do that? So go to your code, oops, here. So once you select something, what you should do now, you should bring everything one by one visible. So let's say level, what's next, it should be number in the dive team, right? The next one. So we should make that visible. So level number dive dot visible to be equals true. Then So number people text box, that should be visible as well. Then you have what is next, you have the label, this one, that means label select type, that should be visible as well. Label select type visible should be equals true. Then you have the this list box div list box, that should be visible. Now next object should be the button, div cost button, that should be visible, true. Then you have div clear button, so how do we name the clear button? CLR button, so we have to make it like that. CLR button visible, equals true. Then we have these fields, this one, label div title visible to be equals true. Label hours visible to be equals true. Label length visible to be equals true. Then label I think that's about it. Let's run it again and see what happens. So if we come here and then Australia, I mean everything looks good now. We have to, I mean we just need to calculate everything. So let's focus on the subsequent part. One final thing here, focus. So that is the next field that they need to enter. Okay, so that's all about your selected index changed text box. Next is um, the next is you have to select the div package. So let's see here. So here you have to select the list box, I mean div package. Okay, so next step is calculating the div cost. So here button one click, I mean let's deal with the button one itself. it should have been named differently. Let's take it, let's use this one itself. So we can put we can define different variables. So the team size, I mean, all these variables needs to be derived um, from our selection, right? Okay, so now define a function to validate um, the number of people on the team. Okay, so we have to define this function. So let's define another sub and do it there. So let's number of people text box text is this one, so we are putting this. And then we are doing some error handling here, right? And as usual, as we learned in our previous assignment, we are defining the message box as well. So this one, again, this one we are calling different types of exceptions here: format exception, overflow exception, system exception. So that's about it. Validate number in team. So that's one validation we are doing here. Then the type selection choice, there will be a validation there too. So the next function is validate type selection. Let's code for it. So it should be like that. And here we can the div list box. So this one selected index, and then we can do this one. So it has to be like this, so that validation is done now. So once that validation is done, so there are two validations that we have done. These two validations. So now we can put some logic around there. So we can say that something like this. So this, if this is valid, we can say that the team size, that is the team size text box, number of people text box should be this one, and then location combo box, so that's the selected index. Now we define three different cost estimation. So that one should be level. No, not that one. It should be this one. So let's make some changes here. So make let's make this one and this one three different. Let's get rid of these levels because we can put everything under the single level. So this one as well, delete those. So this one dive. So here the name is level dive title. We can make it little different, level dive. Okay, and then we can the text can be little longer. So the cost, level cost is fine, but the text needs to be little wider, and length is also fine. The text will be little wider. Okay, so that's it. So what we should do in the form now is that level dive should be this one, level cost and level length. Those are the, now we have to code for these ones. So for the first one, let's create a sub like this. Okay, so this one, so we have to create a new line. This is that. So Belize dive cost should be similarly coded, and this can be done in this way as well. So just below Australia dive cost, let's write Belize dive cost, and then below that we can code Fiji dive cost. These are all functions, so you see both flavors, the subs and the functions. So I think that should be it, and then there is a clear button, of course. So let's go to the, let's try to run the code now. So what are the build errors? So level hours is not declared. So where is the level hours? Yeah, so we need to find out level hours. I think this is done in the first place here, somewhere here. So this one, we don't need level hours at all. So if something is like that, then we can again start the code. So it's running, and here is what we see. This one, let's say we have Australia, we have 5. Let's say this, the dive cost is, yeah, this is calculated. Now if we, from Australia, if we go to Belize 5, let's say this one, this thing, so if we make the size is this, you will get the error. And also Fiji, let's say 6. So you can get the correct numbers. Now the next step is to validate the functionality of the, I mean create the functionality of the clear button. So clear button is here, and then it's the simplest thing. All you have to do is basically you need to just do the default values. So that is location combo box is this one. Then you can write number of people text box, then list dive list box. Now label dive so we should do all these things essentially, but with the false. So this should be false. So we are making the false one by one. Let's see if everything looks good now. So if we run the code, things are coming up. So we get this one and then we select this. Let's say we choose 5, do this, calculate this, and then clear button clears everything. So the screen looks little bit odd, but I think we can live with this. So basically what we have done, we have created the code in length. Basically we did handle a lot of exceptions here. So during the cost calculation, during the validation path, we did some exception. I mean the format exception, overflow exception, systems exception, all this stuff. And so basically we started with this app. This is the splash splash screen. From there we find the actual screen and the form. Then we can select any expedition location, and then you specify the number of people, choose the dive option, and calculate the dive cost, clear it. Then you go to another. Let's say we go to Belgi, and then you see these packages are different. You can put different number of people, dive cost. Oh, select a dive type. So you do that and then you clear it. So that's all I believe we need to do for this week's lab. So do the practice a little bit and then you submit the lab. What I expect is your screenshots on a Microsoft Word file. Then I also expect a zip file containing your Visual Basic project. I mean, make sure you deliver a zip file so that I can unzip it and run it on my own device to validate whatever you have done. If I cannot run it, I cannot validate it, then you will not get any credit for that. So make sure you deliver a zip file. If you have any confusion, send me an email. I will help you to create that. Okay, thank you. Bye.